So hello fellow Earthlings, this is Earthling 6455463728. And there have been a number of times in my life where maybe it wasn't really the case, but I strongly felt that there was a good chance that I was going to die. But I still went ahead and did what I thought I needed to do anyway. Now, these things that I described, they might seem trivial to some people, but let me just go over them. So one, I was on the bow of a Coast Guard ship, and I was with a group of people in the military, and the exercise was a simple one. You just jump off the bow of the ship. Was it something that was planned to say, this is a military exercise? No, it wasn't like that. It was a more informal thing, but it was an exercise, I suppose, in general, to make you more comfortable, I suppose, with certain things that you might find yourself having to do at some point, or yeah, something like that. And walking along the jetty to the ship, it really didn't look that high at all. It looked okay. And when I was walking up to it, it's not as much of a problem. As a matter of fact, there were, I think, 2 steps that you could choose. You could just jump off the jetty. That's one, which to me seemed fairly easy. Then I think you could jump off maybe the side of the ship, and then you could jump off the prow, which I think is at the front of the ship. Or you could just been the jetty and the prow. I'm sorry if prow is the wrong word, but that's what it seems like it might be. Anyway, jumped off jetty, easy enough. But funny enough, there was a guy who was afraid to jump off of the jetty, which me, I was like, what, really? I mean, that doesn't seem that bad. Then there was, when I got up on the prow of the ship, where Leonardo was there, being the king of the world. And when I looked down, logically, there were other people who had jumped. And, one of them was a lady, a woman. She didn't seem to have any problem with it at all. But I was pretty much convinced at my core that I was not going to survive that. And, I took my time, and then I finally realized, there are other people who came up here, and they decided they weren't going to jump. But even if I die, which I really feel like I will, I'm going to do this anyway. And while I was standing there, the woman, the lady, she came up and she jumps over again. So now that's part of why I have to go, even though other people decided that they were not going to go. So I jumped, and I felt during the air that, when I hit, I'm going to die. Even though there was clear evidence to the contrary. And I hit, and it was fine. I went really, really deep, but it was fine. And I figured, okay, I need to do this again. So I went up and I did it again. But this time, I think my legs were too spread apart. So that time it really hurt. It really, really hurt. That it was not pleasant at all. Now, another time that I felt like I would die, is I have. These birds really sound like they're killing each other. Anyway, another time when I thought I would die is I was going to ride out on I guess it's a well trafficked road with my bicycle. And I had gone all the way from where I lived, and here I was on this well trafficked road. And I was like, no, there's no way I can do this. The cars are coming too fast. I'm going to, especially with what I was trying to carry at the time, I thought, it was a basket of balls. I had a basket of tennis balls that I was trying to balance on one side of the bars. And I figured that I could get knocked over, and all the 30 balls that I was carrying would just spread out all over the street. And yeah, I would just be a spectacle out on the street, broken this or that or the other. And I just turned around and I was going back home. And again, I was pretty certain that I was going to have an accident. But I figured, okay, let me press on anyway, no matter what. And I went, and it was scary as hell. And as it turned out, I never had an accident. It was a good ride, maybe more than 20 minutes or so. And I did that regularly for quite a while. And I never clipped anybody's side view mirror or anything like that perfectly. Well, it wasn't perfectly. I probably had a relatively close call a couple of times, like, clipping somebody's mirrors or maybe scratching the side of their car, which I did not, but I might have felt like I was going to. But it never actually materialized, and it was good. I'm proud of myself that I was able to do that. It was great. Now, another time when I felt like I was going to die was, I guess, driving on the expressway or the interstate. And yeah, I guess I had not driven on it for a long time because the area where I live is like a small town kind of thing. So there wasn't an opportunity to be on the interstate. I didn't have to. And, the closest equivalent that was nearby was it was a lot smaller than the normal interstate kind of thing. So here I was, and I was visiting my sister, and I was just thinking in the passenger seat, hey, if I have to drive, this looks really, really scary. And it was again a situation where I felt like I would die. Like if I deviated and I accidentally, because I thought that I would, I was like, I could just accidentally swerve out of my lane, hit another car, and go flying head over heels. I can't remember what the exact term for that is, but that was my feeling that would happen. It could happen at any time while I was driving, and I was terrified of driving, which when I, think back, learning to drive was like that. I would be driving through, like in between a number of cars, two cars, one parked on either side of the road on certain narrow roads, and I would feel like, oh my God, I'm going to just drag the side of the car against either one or the other one of those things, and I was really scared. And it was the same way when I first started driving and I went on an expressway. But I again, told myself, no, I have to do this. I can't have my sister driving me everywhere, you know, especially if, because I was visiting her, especially if, I want to take the car while she goes to work and do something. I can't, I have to drive. So I really, really, really had that nightmare scenario playing out in my head for a really long time while I was getting used to driving. And it really, honest to goodness, felt horrible, but I was able to get over it. And I guess that wasn't the only time. I guess anytime that I especially, are not doing something that might be scary, I guess I lose the ease that I feel doing it. And there's certain sections of highway that, for me, the long, huge sections that don't have any streetlights, and it's just your headlights that you use. And that in itself is also terrifying. or driving next to a one of these trailer trucks. As a guy, maybe many guys might feel somewhat ashamed to say that, but that is scary to do that. That is not something that's comfortable, especially if you're thinking that this truck might suddenly lose a tire. And if it doesn't, this is like, Final Destination, the movie kind of thing, where something falls off, like it's transporting logs, and when the logs fall off and bounce on your road and impale your car, or it loses part of its wheels, like, the outer lining of a tire, and that somehow gets trapped underneath your tire and ends up making you have an accident. And I suppose I don't think that this has much to do with it, but I did have, luckily, an accident that didn't involve death or injury, like a long time ago. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but maybe it did. What happened is my tire blew out, or our tire blew out, because I was driving with my sister long distance, and I was well over the speed limit, like 90 miles an hour or something. And it really shouldn't have been an issue, except that there seems to be some kind of a rough patch that is on the side of the road if you like try to get off of the road before an exit and you're trying to get onto the shoulder, there's this rough patch of road. Anyway, I was traveling so fast, I think, because I can only presume why it happened, that when I tried to slow down and get off of onto the shoulder of the highway, the expressway, that rough patch slowed down the car so much that it just spun out of control, and it went from one side of the highway straight across the whole highway, off the highway into the brush. And my sister was sleeping at the time, and she woke up to this terrifying reality. Luckily, like I said, the car wasn't damaged too much. It was just a tire that was blown. There was no car to the left or right of us, so we didn't hit anybody. It's just the trunk got a little bit damaged on a fence that we ran through, and that was it. But maybe that's what started. No, I had a lot of fear, even when I just started driving and getting on the interstate and all that. Maybe that's common, I don't know, but I can't think of any other times that I was really terrified that I would die. But I'm sure as soon as I press save that I'm going to remember other occasions when I felt like that. Anyway, yeah, that's it for me. So you can like, you can subscribe, you can share, or any one of those things. Hopefully, in the same way that you'd want other people to do it for you, if this was your piece. So thanks. Peace.